Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Presents. Today it's just a quick review of Captain America Brave New World. This is the start of the new family of Marvel films. Um, it's difficult for me to approach a Marvel film without a little bit of cynicism because the past several films, in my opinion, have been extremely poor. I've not really enjoyed them. I've found them to be predictable, to be just derivative of the formula that had got us all the way up to Endgame and produce some of the greatest films in that genre of all time. So we've got Captain America Brave New World, we've got Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, Carl Lumbly, Tim Blake Nelson, Giancarlo Esposito. There's a lot of people in it. Okay. But this film starts off really well. Okay. It starts off similar to Winter Soldier in the fact that it's a thriller. It's not necessarily, if you, apart from the costumes and what they're doing, obviously, but it feels more like a typical espionage thriller than the start of an MCU movie. Um, there are going to be spoilers ahead here, so obviously, you don't come and watch these reviews without knowing that's coming. Um, and it maintains that atmosphere, that edge for quite a while within its running, but then it gets all Marvel. And as soon as it gets all Marvel, it just loses the well, it loses the plot, so to say, without being too punny. Couple of observations. I think Anthony Mackie is Marvel's answer to Gal Gadot. You know, looks good in the outfit. Bloody awful actor. There's just nothing there for me. Tim Blake Nelson, who plays Samuel Stearns from one of the previous Hulk films. It's great to see that character back because that is a good character. But his performance is completely destroyed by absolutely atrocious CGI makeup effects on him. It makes him look like I don't know, a zombie broccoli. Every time you look at him, he's talking about doing these awful, serious, dreadful things, but all you can see is this broccoli head, and it just takes you out of the moment. And the action sequences are functional, again at times spoilt by not the best CGI, not the best effects, which is something for some reason we've learned to expect from Marvel, that they will get so many elements of the CGI right and then completely drop the ball on other elements. And it's a real shame because it pulls you out of that moment. Some of the plot devices in the film are staggeringly stupid. Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross. There's about a third in. There's a conversation between Ford and Anthony Mackie where he talks about getting Captain America to restart the Avengers initiative, and that looks like a moment of togetherness because there's a big theme of together with him winning the presidency. But one thing goes wrong and he scraps the whole thing. You're just waiting for his Thaddeus Ross to start imposing tariffs on people. It's a very, very um, on-off performance from Ford. I'm sure he enjoyed the paycheck and I'm sure he enjoyed his time, but he is sleepwalking through it. And before he's even turned into the Hulk, he has been chewing the scenery since the first second on screen. The other characters are fairly they're superficial. You've got four or five main characters, the rest superficial. Giancarlo Esposito is wasted in the film. I think he should have been the big bad for me. He is making a bit of a career out of playing bad characters but he was just wasted as Sidewinder. He didn't do anything. Um, yeah, some of the plot holes, Harrison Ford's president talks about wanting to go for a walk with his daughter Betty underneath the blossoms, and the final fight between Captain America and Red Hulk results in blossoms being blown everywhere by a shockwave, and Captain America uses that blossoms imagery to calm down the Hulk, and it's just like, oh dear. If we think back to previous Hulks, like when Eric Banner became the Hulk, when Edward Norton became the Hulk, The first time they turned into the Hulk, it was this overbearing rage. It was this fire. It was this, they couldn't control it. Yet Harrison Ford turned into Red Hulk and can control it immediately. It just seems silly. You know, the he ends up in the raft. The typeface on the typeface, the the, the text that comes on with the screen when they arrive at the raft is very helpful because it says the raft prison. That's great. What else was it going to be? Um, but having Harrison Ford then, admit his mistakes, freely volunteer to go to jail, and he's held in the raft, and then Betty turns up, and she's a civilian, and she's taken to one of the most secret prison locations in the world. I don't think so. I think Daddy might have got a Zoom call instead. But it's not all doom and gloom. That first third of the film feels really, really good. I just wish they'd managed to keep that up instead of going into your bog standard Marvel. There's got to be a bad guy. There's got to be a big fight. There's got to be a heroic um, moment. There's got to be this heroic, oh, look, we did it kind of thing. And it just didn't need it in that film. There's a really, there's a really clumsy cameo from Sebastian Stan as Bucky, which is just so shoehorned in. It's completely irrelevant, and you just think to yourself, you could have knocked off 5 minutes off the running time by not having that because Bucky being there didn't do anything to the storyline. It didn't assist the storyline in any way, apart from to give us some twee, you are an inspiration line at the end of the film. I think if Bucky had turned up, he should have been involved in the action a little bit, which would have been really good. Um, Multiple mentions of Ant-Man for some reason, don't know why. A couple of mentions of Steve Rogers, the original Captain America. Yeah, that felt about right. But all in all, it's not really a step forward for the Marvel universe. The MCU, it doesn't feel as though they've learned anything from Ant-Man Quantumania or Thor Love and Thunder or any of the other tepid excuses for films they've made recently. This film feels like it's had a lot of reshoots, and it did have a lot of reshoots, and you can feel it, the shift in tone. Um, all in all, if you're marking it out of 10, you give it maybe a 4.5, a 5. You are going to forget it instantly. It's not going to sit with you like Winter Soldier. It's not going to sit with you like Iron Man or anything like that. You're going to forget it instantly. It's a real shame that we don't see them learning from those failed films, mediocre films. We've got the Thunderbolts coming up pretty soon, and that looks fun. It looks interesting. But is it going to suffer the same fate as Black Widow? It's on the face of it, looks good. But then at the end of the day, it was a bit meh. Um, how are they going to get us back involved in these big event films? Which one film is going to pull us back in? Because it isn't Captain America, Brave New World, and I don't know whether it'll be Thunderbolts. Um, I'll finish now with the most ridiculous thing in the film, which is the post-credit scene, which has Captain America talking to Broccoli Head in jail, and Broccoli Head says, "You have no idea what's coming. You have no idea how bad it's going to get." Um, the others, that must have taken a lot of writing to think of that name, are coming, and you cannot be prepared. They've already beaten the Shakiri and Thanos, so we have no idea what's coming. Okay, yeah, so not the best film, but not the worst film. Miles better than Madam Web.